Western pleasure. Some love it, some hate it, some hate to love it, and others love to hate it. We've all heard the criticisms unnatural movement, animal welfare concerns, and the common joke that watching a pleasure horse go around the rail is about as exciting as watching paint dry. But today, we're going to take a closer look at this controversial discipline, and you might just realize everything you think you know might be wrong. Western pleasure's roots are firmly planted in the ranch and rodeo lifestyle. Hours in the saddle and miles on the range meant that people prized a well mannered and comfortable horse. By the 1940s and 50s, competitions arose to see whose horse looked the most pleasurable to ride. Early on, the stock breeds, what we now know as the American Quarter Horse and the American Paint Horse, were shown in a style closer to working horses. Rommel reins inspired by buckaroo and vaquero traditions were common. Horses moved out naturally with shorter reins but without artificial manipulation. The standard was barely defined, but the essence was simple: a horse that was pleasant, smooth, cadenced, and collected. As the decades rolled on, Western pleasure gained popularity among the stock breed enthusiasts. Naturally, competition increased. And here's where the narrative begins to diverge from reality. If you ask people, they'll often point to the 1980s and 1990s as the start of the discipline's decline. But the evidence doesn't quite back that up. But when we examine footage, the supposed terrible 80s and 90s largely look correct by the standards at the time and of today. Bill England, former AQHA president and longtime judge, recalls the era. England points out that slow horses became a trend because winners were slow, not because the discipline demanded it. Now let's take a time machine, as far as video allows. Archival footage from the 80s and 90s is sparse, but what exists paints a different picture. Let's take a look at Zip's chocolate chip. Born in the 80s and winning championships in 1989. For many, many years, this horse was the lead performance sire in the American Quarter Horse Association. According to popular narrative, he should have been crawling at a snail's pace. Instead, he was cadenced, balanced, and smooth, both under saddle and out of it. He was a textbook Western pleasure horse. Even looking at general Western pleasure footage from the 90s, there's a notable absence of peanut pushing or incorrect gaits. This wasn't due to selective editing. Top sires like Zip's Chocolate Chip and Blazing Hot were moving correctly and naturally. Tom Chown, a respected trainer, elaborates on the mechanics. An effective trainer will look at how little he or she can do to enhance a horse's natural movement and its self carriage, not break the horse into parts or attempt to fix one part independently. Balance is everything. Simply put, the claim that the 80s and 90s ruined Western pleasure just doesn't hold up. So, when did things go wrong? Optically, the major negative shift becomes apparent in the 2000s. Horses were slowed to an extreme, heads dropped below the top line, and sideways lopes became a trick to create the illusion of an even slower gait and exaggerated hocks. This is when peanut rolling truly emerged, and many of the bad practices we see today started to take hold. Chown explains the result. When a horse doesn't properly engage his hind end, allowing him to lift his rib cage and core, the front end moves separately from the hind end. The result is the head bobbing or labored mechanical movement we see today. A horse that moves this way isn't balanced. Many outsiders often blame the judges for the decline in this discipline, but I don't think that that's entirely fair. Judges can only place the horses in front of them. If the majority of the class is moving incorrectly, the lesser of evils will be chosen. We see that today across all disciplines, from Western pleasure to Grand Prix Olympic level dressage. England acknowledges the limitations. Judges can only judge what is in front of them. When all horses move incorrectly, the judge has to place the least incorrect. This is why placings can seem inconsistent, especially in multi judge classes. Both the AQHA and APHA have recognized that there is a problem. Extensions of the jog and the lope are now encouraged, but there's still more work to be done to fully correct the standard. Some riders have left frustrated at Western pleasure in favor of hunter classes or range classes where horses work straight and true, capable of performing functional tasks rather than just looking pleasurable. Ranch horse pleasure, for example, showcases horses doing what they were bred to do. It's a strong reminder that Western pleasure can learn from these principles without abandoning its identity entirely. The discipline certainly deserves the criticism it's received, but it isn't solely the judge's responsibility. Riders and trainers need to embody the change that they want to see. It is a demanding discipline that requires an athletic and balanced horse to perform correctly. It's time to stop relying on gimmicks and fads. It's time to start selecting horses that can perform this job and to start training those horses straight and true to type. Western pleasure has a complicated history full of nuance, myths, misconceptions, and even straight up horrors. But understanding where it came from, what went wrong, and what can be done today gives us a clearer picture and a chance to do better. This discipline isn't broken beyond repair just yet. It's just been misrepresented and often misunderstood. With the right training, attention to balance, and respect for the horse's natural movement, Western pleasure can be both beautiful and humane. If you've learned something new today, or if you've had your own experiences with Western pleasure, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the history, the myths, or the modern standard? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you want more deep dives into horse history, training insights, and a closer look at the disciplines we all love or love to hate. Until next time, keep your horses balanced, your hands light, and your perspectives open.